Joining us now to discuss is Steve Ehrlich, founder and CEO of Voyager Digital. Hello there, Steve. Thanks for joining us. So, can you confirm trading volumes have been a little low over the past week? What trading trends do you find most interesting over the holidays?
Well, thanks for having me again. Appreciate being here. But yeah, as your chart showed, I think the volumes that we've seen across all the exchanges and marketplaces have been a little bit lighter over the last week to 10 days. I think that's people just managing their positions, getting ready to start the new year, closing off some tax positions, getting ready to enter 2022 with a clean slate. We have seen that volume, but the other side of that is the altcoins have actually gotten some extra volume out, in the last week too. But from a Bitcoin perspective, less volume, there's less volatility, right? I mean, it did go below 50,000 24 hours or so ago, then it bounced back, but we're trading in range. And I think, once we hit the new year, we'll see it break out of that range. Maybe we'll get a late Santa Claus rally here into New Year's, but I'm expecting a lot more volume coming to the new year.
It's funny you should say, because CoinDesk's DeFi index is shooting past 31%. Why do you think that is? That we're just seeing this huge activity in DeFi versus Bitcoin, a little more muted?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the DeFi land. There's a couple of coins that we've seen specifically that have driven a lot of interest, and that's Avalanche, that's the Sandbox, that's Luna. Obviously, Luna's been up, I think, almost 100%, from a month ago. And then Nervos, we've seen a lot of activity there. And I think people are starting to gravitate to some of these protocols that are getting some adoption, that are starting to see more and more consumers start to use, in a little bit of ways, more so than Ethereum. So we're starting to see that with those four coins in particular over the last week or so, as the prices have increased on those as well.
So interesting. What are your top predictions for 2022?
I actually think, I think the market itself is going to explode. I think NFTs have really started showing some of the use case of all the protocols. And so I think 2022 will be the real adoption. 2021, we saw more and more people come in. We're going to see a huge influx of consumers coming in 2022. I think some of the institutions will start coming in even to a higher degree now, as they see some of these protocols really actually take hold and actually have projects behind them. And you're starting to see a lot of venture money come into a lot of the protocols as well. So I think 2022, we're going to see this explosion of crypto across Bitcoin and all the altcoins.
What's your shorter term outlook for Bitcoin, let's say in the first quarter of 2022 versus a more long-term prediction of where the price is headed by the end of the year?
Yeah, I think in the first part, January people start resetting. So the first quarter might be a little slow in that, but I think as we start getting into the second quarter of the year and into the summer, you're going to see even more projects come on board through a lot of the protocols. And I think you'll start seeing price increases more towards, the summer months, into the April, May, June, and into the summer months. You'll see a lot more activity come at that point in time. I think we'll still see a little bit muted in the first month or two, but then you'll see a lot of activity, after that.
You have any price predictions?
My last price prediction wasn't spot on. So look, I think we'll see 100,000 by June, the latest, actually.
Everyone has a different answer. Okay. Other than that, I see you posting those courtside Dallas Mavericks tickets. And for anyone watching, don't look up on Netflix. Voyager made a small cameo. So you're doing a lot to normalize Bitcoin in everyday lives, which will be key as governments around the world look to develop regulatory frameworks for the crypto industry in the new year. How do you believe regulation should be shaped?
I think every country is starting to look at it probably differently than they did 12 months ago, because I think you're seeing this adoption. There's a lot of retail holdings behind a lot of, the currencies, Bitcoin, in particular. And I think people are trying to figure out the best way to actually bring fair and reasonable regulation to the marketplace. And I think you'll start seeing more of that in the US as well, because I think there's thoughtful regulation is important to the growth of the industry. And whether it's on the trading side or coin side, this thoughtful regulation will really help the industry grow. And then when you do see things like our little cameo in Don't Look Up, and more and more crypto companies into sports, us with the Mavericks, as you mentioned, you're seeing this adoption. I think that thoughtful regulation will really bring a whole new level of consumers into the marketplace who are really trying to find a way to come in and want regulation to actually enter the space.
Mm-hmm. So governments are looking at it, but also people who are building the industry are looking at it, specifically Jack Dorsey, and he's brought up this debate about Bitcoin versus Web3 and VC investors coming into the fold and trying to promote decentralization versus centralization among a couple of entities. I wonder, where do you fall in that budding debate?
Yeah, I don't have a clear-cut opinion on that. Doing a lot of research on it, but I think with any innovation, actually, there are early adopters. A lot of the early adopters, investors, tend to be VC funds, so they do jump in early and take risk with that. But I haven't really gone through this and come up with my own opinion yet that I want to share. That I think I'm still evaluating where it goes. I think Web3 is extremely interesting. The metaverse is interesting. A lot of our customers are asking us what we're doing about it, and we're going to come out with some items in 2022. But there's still a lot of ground to be developed, and we're still trying to form our opinion.